welcome again. This is our take two so that we can celebrate lives lost and lives recovered. And again, Center for Counseling and Education and Paso por Paso, which is my organization, we are honored to welcome those of you we God does beautiful things. And he brought another sister to me today to give us a native, a prayer.
I also ask to keep that darkness away from us. Thank you. Aho.
Aho. 70,000 deaths. And then in 2018, it went down, and in 2019 it went back up, and then we had the pandemic, and as that hit, it rose to 91,000, almost 92,000 deaths. Then in 2021 we had over 100,000 deaths. With the pandemic, we can see, especially from 2020 to January of 2022, really spiked. The most evil was the fentanyl, which at full strength, couple of grains of salt could kill a human being. And cocaine was laced with fentanyl. Crystal meth, heroin, and Xanax all had fentanyl in them. And that was one of the major causes of death. 300 overdose drug-related deaths per day in 2022. You may be asking, is there anything that can be done about this devastating toll on our population, and especially on our young people? And the answer is yes, there is. Naloxone, or by its brand name Narcan, one of the brands, is a medicine that will rapidly reverse an opioid overdose. So naloxone can and does save lives.
And we started our Narcan distribution program. Now we're targeting all of San Diego County, especially those most at risk. Since 2014, we've distributed 30,000 people, and we've had reported back 2,312 lives reported saved through our program. Narcan does save lives. It's so easy to use. If it is an opioid overdose, it will quickly bring the person back to life. So the Narcan knocks the opioid off of the receptor and brings the person to life. So we've been saying that everybody should carry it. What we say is people can't find treatment and supportive services if they're dead. So first, let's keep them alive so that we can help to usher them into compassionate and humane treatment.
So we're going to start the reading of the names.
I'm sorry, Abel Arce, Alicia Salazar, Althea Flint, and Amy Tryon, or Winehouse, Andy Irons, and Anna Nicole. We have Antonio Arce. Bill was a friend of mine, didn't take the time to help himself, or was so stigmatized by the idea that he could have a problem with depression and or drugs or alcohol that he gave into his demons rather than seek out the help and treatment that he could have had to save his life. Bill gave so much of himself helping others that he led a life dedicated to service, but in the end, he wasn't able to save himself. When you lose somebody that you care about, you never get over it.
Bobby Sheehan, Brad Renfro, Brent Shapiro, Bridget Anderson, Brittany Murphy, Bruce Lee, Candace Norton, and Celeste Holm. Celeste did pass while she was in the hospital. And just so that you know, She's also an Academy Award winner, and there's the Academy Award that she won for Gentleman's Agreement, and there is the Golden Globe, which she won. I don't remember what it was, but Damon L. Hernandez piano, Dana Plato. You may remember Dana from Diff'rent Strokes. Unfortunately, the day before Mother's Day, 1999, she was on the Howard Stern show. Howard Stern wanted to take a hair sample or have her urinate, had or had not been 10 years sober. I did talk to her about my sobriety, and I was proud of her attempts at sobriety. Unfortunately, the next day, she fell into a deep depression, and she took quite a few different pills. While she was dying, her boyfriend recorded her voice instead of calling 911. Tyler Lambert is her son. In a drug-induced rage, 11 years to the day of his mother's passing, he shot himself. And this is Tyler at 15. Eddie Griffin, Elvis Presley, Eric Douglas. Eric was a party buddy of mine. He was the half brother to Michael Douglas and the son of Kirk Douglas. Eric loved drugs like I did. We partied together. We had a good time. Unfortunately, he died of a cocaine overdose. Pamela Weeks is a friend of mine from Georgia. Read the following names.
Oh, yes, I will be happy to. Thank you. It's good to see you and everyone tonight. Hank Williams Sr., Harold Hunter, Heath Ledger, Helen Doherty, Fade, Howard Hughes, Hugh O'Connor, Ian Fisher. He
passed due to an overdose. I have my friends, 7 of them who have died of overdose, and now I have an 8th, Janis Joplin and Jared Bowie. Jared was my god nephew. His mother was a very dear friend of mine. Justine, she's just now celebrating 3 years sober. All of that, Jared figuring that he was the man of the house, was trying to keep the family together and made 6 babies and loved his children. And on August 27th this year, Jared died of a fentanyl overdose. Unfortunately, Jared is now one of the 300 a day that are dying from the fentanyl overdose. But Sunshine, would you be able to read some names?
Of course. Thank you. Jean-Michel Basquiat. The singing.
Jean-Paul
Oh, that's the
Marie
singing
Decker.
nun. Jeff Conway. Jeff Cullen. Jessica Rennenbach. Jesus Salazar. Give me a second. Jim Morrison. Jimi Hendrix. Joey J. Joey St. John. John Belushi. John Cassavetes. John Ritchie, a.k.a. Sid Vicious. John Entwistle. John Morris.
John decided would drown himself in the bottle. My friend Butch Patrick, thank you so much for being here, and we're going to hear from him in a little bit.
Keith Moon, Judy Garland, Kenneth Williams, Kevin Lloyd, Kevin McConville, Lani O'Grady. Johnny and I both were the early clients of Mary Grady. I actually lived with Mary Grady, and I spent some time with the Grady household with not only Don and Lonnie and Mary Lou and Mary herself. I was sort of an adopted kid at the Grady household, but Lonnie was a wonderful person, and I have nothing but great memories of her. And it was very, very sad of her passing. She had some issues, and unfortunately, they basically got the best of her. Lonnie, love you, miss you, and hope you're in a better place.
Lenny Bruce, Margot Hemingway, Margot Kidder, Marilyn Monroe, Mary Anissa Jones.
So why did you start the Anissa Jones Remembrance Society?
Oh my goodness. Because I I have been a fan of hers since 1977 when I first saw Family Affair in reruns. And I asked my mom about it later that night, and she said, well, she just took a little bit too much medicine and went to sleep, and then God decided that he was going to take her up to heaven and make her an angel. My mom said, in order to keep people's memories alive, you always got to keep them in your heart and never ever forget them. Years old, and I remember looking up at the ceiling and saying, I'll never forget you. And I never have. In 2014, I decided to create the Family Affair tribute page along with the Anissa Jones. Now we've been going for 8 years strong. We have things that we even made t-shirts. We had t-shirts made. Can you see that? Says we remember. Mrs. Beasley is here too. So I just love Anissa Jones. I'm like a super fan, and just want to keep her memory going in any way I can, and that's why I created it. But I did lose my mom to addiction on August 10th, 99.
Susan Alden. We're remembering her just today.
Okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for. And a very dear friend, and that is Mick Thompson. He's going to read names after he shares about his friend, Michael Jackson.
Hello. Hi. Hey, Johnny. So nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Hello, everybody. Yeah, Michael Jackson. And anyway, long story short, after the audition, Michael not only cast me, but he told LaBelle that he wanted me to be his shadow. That means that wherever Michael is, he needs me to be like either on this side of him or this side of him. He just was always really, really super professional. I mean, he was always on time. He worked always really hard. As you can see, whenever he was in concert, I mean, he gave his all to making sure that people felt he was never going to hold back, you know? And so everything was really going great for him. And then I started getting kind of wondering what was going on when he was going to come and do all new stuff, you know, and he was working with the choreographer, and he was going to bring back his team of dancers that he enjoyed working with, that he knew. And he was going to be elevating all his new music. But when they were going to work, LaBelle would come home early, and I would be like, what's up? You know, because I would go visit him at the hotel where he was staying while they were in pre-production. LaBelle, the choreographer, was also kind of an addict, and they started kind of popping pills now instead of working out. And they were just kind of like getting a little lethargic and just doing a ballet warm-up and not really rehearsing. He would come back and he was like, he showed me all these pills, and he was like, Michael really likes this one. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? It was really freaking. Nobody was really doing anything about it. And LaBelle, being his choreographer, should have been there to kind of like say, but they were both kind of addicts now. So things were getting a little bit spiraling out of control. And then Kenny Ortega, who's from LA, was noticing all this stuff, and he just said, stop. So he was kind of just like forced to go back and do what he really didn't have a passion to go do. It was not his idea to go back and do this is it. He wanted to, you know, continue, you know, evolving. This choreographer that took on the part, Travis, because Travis and LaBelle were partners, and Travis took over the job and was kind of mentioning to me that, you know, Michael passed out now at rehearsal, and this and that and that. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, and plus Stacey Walker, who I brought in. Stacey is really close to me, and she was just kind of telling me what was going on. And it was just, I mean, then they were getting new dancers. They didn't want to bring in anybody from the past. They wanted to get all new young dancers and stuff like that. So it was really hard for me when I found out that things were just falling apart. And then you started hearing, you know, as we all heard, the news about him starting to kind of, you know, get, you know, taking the drugs, and then having the doctor give him, you know, all that stuff that happened that ended up Michael overdosing. The thing that I just had to keep thinking about was, what was Michael's message to everybody? What did he really want to bring to the world? It was always about love, you know. He just had such a great spirit about him. He was never creepy or anything. I mean, he was very eccentric because he just, a lot of stuff that was kind of going on from his childhood, you know. And I'm sure when he was being betrayed from some of the closest friends that he had, but that he actually loved and cared for, the young people in the Bible, I mean, Jesus had sort of the same kind of thing. He got betrayed by those that he loved. So it's just part of life, you know. Seems like everyone has to experience a little bit of this. But it was just all in the media. But I think it was just bringing him down, you know, because he was like, you know, I'm now in a box. The kids that I love are betraying me. You know, my dad just wants me to keep whatever. It just was sad to see how he ended it, because it was not a happy experience for him, you know, and he did so much to try to bring happiness into it. So I try to honor him because I've been able to pick up from where he left off to bring his message of love. And I'm the choreographer for a concert that's called The Ultimate Thriller. And I'm also a choreographer for Fallon, who is the female art tribute artist. And they both have huge concerts. But I just love it because I always want to make sure that the spirit of him is felt in these concerts. And it does. People just feel his love, and they feel like he's there. And I know that he's trying really hard to keep people in America and the world in a better place. That's what his music was about. And so that was my experience with Michael.
Thank you, Mick. Would you mind reading some more of these names, please?
Yes. Michael Jackson, Mike Bloomfield, Michael M., Mike Starr, Nathan Egan.
His father and I served a mission together in Portugal.
Really?
And that's Nathan. And
He had an overdose?
yes, while he was in treatment.
Philip Seymour Hoffman, Prince Rogers Nelson, River Phoenix, Rob Pilatus, Robert Pastorelli, Rodney King, Russell Tyrone Jones, Old Dirty Bastard, Scott Newman, Scotty Beckett, Sean Sofer, Sid Vicious, Sky McCall Batursiak, Skylar Lynn Holloway, Talitha Getty, Ted Demi, Thomas Kincaid, Tim Horton, Tim Hovey, Tom Petty, Tommy Dorsey, Tyler Lambert, Virginia Hill, and Whitney Houston.
Thank you.
I don't want to have people die anymore. I don't want people to die, dude. Like, I don't want it. Don't die. That's all I have to say. Don't die, dude. It's annoying. Ruins everyone around you's life as much as it ruins yours. If you die, everyone else's heart dies. Don't die. Stupid. So drugs make you die. Don't die.
All my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Suddenly, I'm not half the man I used to be. There's a shadow hanging over me. Oh, yesterday came suddenly. Why she had to go, I don't know. She wouldn't say. Something wrong, now I long for yesterday. Love was such an easy game to play. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Why she had to go, I don't know. She wouldn't say. I said something easy game to play. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday. I believe yesterday.
So we will continue this portion of our program with a celebration of lives recovered. September is Recovery Month. Recovery Month has been around for about 40 years. SAMHSA, which is the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Agency. Ooh, I got that right. They celebrate, and we've been celebrating, like I said, for about 40 years. The government and states and local municipalities should celebrate Recovery Month because celebrating 25 years of recovery, September 25th. So we hope you don't have to send me anything, but you can make a donation to Paso por Paso. If you would like to donate to Paso por Paso, all you need to do is aim your cell phone camera on the QR code here, and you will be sent directly to the donation page. Or you can go to www.johnnywhitaker.com and click on the gallery, and you'll be sent to the photos page. And below the photos is the donation page. Now, if you donate $30 or more, you may choose any photo in the gallery, and it will be sent to you as our thank you to you for your donation on behalf of Paso por Paso. And now, after that little, sorry about that little commercial, we will continue with the celebration of lives lost and lives recovered. Welcome and let you know a little bit about September being National Recovery Month. And now we have a very special guest, a very long-time friend of mine, a recovery person and friend and fellow child actor. Grew up together with Marie Grady. You might remember him best as Eddie Munster from the Munsters. And hey, Butch, take it away. You got about 10 minutes.
Okay, my name is Butch Patrick, but I identify as Patrick, and I am an alcoholic. This is kind of interesting because sometimes when people will come up and say, "What have you been doing since the Munsters?" Well, let's try to encapsulate 60, almost nearly 60 years in a few minutes. That's just impossible to do, but I'm going to give the fast 10-minute version of my sobriety the best I can. First of all, I started acting in 1960, as we spoke briefly with the Marie Grady Agency, and I worked in the industry about 15 years, but in the 60s to the mid 70s was a wonderful time to be in the entertainment industry. I guess it was really never a bad time to be in the entertainment industry, but as a kid growing up in that window of opportunity, a couple things came into play. Number one, you took on responsibilities, you were treated as a grown-up, you did grown-up things, and you made grown-up money. And one of the things for me as a 10, 12, 13-year-old kid is I was very enamored with the hippie lifestyle. The kind of early 60s, it went from like the Beehive to the late 60s, it went to the Summer of Love and Long Hair. And I was very, very much looking forward to getting old enough to experiment with drugs and alcohol. I wanted to party. And the business, although I was in the movie business, really had nothing to do with my desire to do what I wanted to do. I probably would have done it. In fact, I know I would have done it, or had I had the determination and the resolve and the dedication to become a race car driver, which is what I aspired to be, because I thought the money from working in the business would lead to, I was a good driver and I had fast cars, and every kid wanted to be something outrageous, and mine was a race car driver, which it never developed into that. My turning point in 1969 was I drove a friend to an interview for a movie, and as it turns out, the producer director walked out and spotted me, brought me in for the interview. 3 days later, I was in Brazil for 3 months with no teacher and no parent, just as an actor, as an adult at 16. I looked about 14. And during that 3-month window, as my sister likes to say, at my 1-year chip ceremony, I have almost 12 years sobriety now. At my 1-year chip ceremony, she said, he left as Richie Cunningham and he came back as John Lennon, which pretty much sums it up. That particular year of 1969, the summer of 69, was a crazy time. And I was out there leading the charge. For me, I was never comfortable in my own skin being a celebrity. I wanted to be accepted as a regular guy. And the way I did that was to throw parties, have beer, have pot, have Coke, have, be the party go-to guy. And I did it really well. And I did it for 41 years. At first it was fun. It was great. It was this, early 70s, everything was happening. But it soon took all my money, number one, which it does, it's an expensive habit and a lifestyle. And number two, you found yourself alienating people, because as you become more inebriated and a bigger alcoholic and, a drug addict, you really people don't want to be around you once the party's over and you're not supplying them with stuff, and they're not your yes men anymore, and you don't have anything to offer them. It becomes quite a struggle, which led to a lot of issues with a lot of different things that I won't get into. Because I have limited time and I don't really like looking back on my sobriety is all about looking forward, and looking in the rearview mirror, an old cliche, is not really one of the things I do. But I was very, very lucky to find a higher power came into my life. Literally, I was on the East Coast in 2010, the summer of 2010, and I had hit bottom, and I had sort of dilly-dallied around and inquired to a few good friends, Paul Peterson, a mutual friend of John and myself, with the minor consideration, another good friend, Chris Wren, who I went to school with, and he had gotten sober about 15 years before I did, and I used to reach out to him occasionally. Well, what happened was a friend, I was in Philadelphia, he was in California, and I said, I think I'm ready to enter a treatment center, but I don't know what to do. And he opened up a Yellow Pages to and the page opened to itself. It was to O, and it said Oasis Treatment Center. And the gentleman who ran that treatment center his name is Jim A. He sponsored me. He accepted me. He wanted to take a kid actor who hadn't been through the merry-go-round of the celebrity rehabs and rehabilitations, and someone who hadn't been, that didn't take it seriously. And the fact that I had never been to one fit his criterion. So he told me, I've been open for 22 years. If I can get you sober, I've worked with 8,000 people in 22 years. If you do what I say and you learn this and you do it right and you work the steps, you can reach millions of people and you can lead by example. And he told me, he said, and I don't think you can do it. And he basically sort of gave me a challenge. And here I am, coming up November 21st, will be 12 years sober. And one of the greatest things, like listening to this meeting, is how tough it was to look at that list of people and know so many of them, and to know why me, why am I here? And it has to be my higher power that, there's a bigger plan than we're privy to, because believe me, for 41 years, I tried my darndest to basically party myself to death. And it got to be, and late in, when I hit 50 and there was no future and there was no work, and it was really, I was hoping that something would happen to me, and I wouldn't kill myself, but I was trying very hard to do something that would end my life. And I guess I was trying to drink myself to death at that time. I got the education at Oasis, and Jim, by the way, was the original interventionist for A&E. Everybody in the place was they came in as a client, and they became counselors, and they became, they educated themselves. They were alcoholics and addicts, and they learned how to help other people. It saved my life. And now that I've never turned down a speaker meeting, I have my health, I have a life, I have success, I have all the things that the promises and the steps promise, and and the traditions, it's all come true. As John was saying earlier, there's a lot of times when the stigma attached to alcoholism is something that you don't want to let people know your situation, and you try to mask it. Well, one of the great things about today, it's not like the old AA in the 30s and 40s, but it was anonymous. I mean, it's still good. If you want to remain anonymous, that's fine. But the stigma isn't there. So now people can reach out, and there's so many places that can help you take that first step towards recovery. And that's what I specialize in. In social media, I have a very large following, and I reach a lot of people who have issues, because there's probably not a family in the country that doesn't have someone, whether it's a cousin, a second cousin, or somebody that needs help. It's a epidemic, no doubt about it. Whether it's fentanyl, whether it's this, whether it's that, the opiate epidemic is real, and it's there, and it's killing people, as John made reference to. So although I don't sponsor people in a typical way, and I don't run a typical program, I do what it takes. I hit my knees. I have a higher power. I help people, and having been a child actor and now being an adult, a sober adult, I think I can help people that whether they're in the industry or not in the industry. The industry didn't do it. It just gave me the visibility. And unfortunately, a lot of times the negative aspect of being a celebrity comes into play, where sometimes things would go unnoticed, like, you get arrested or something bad happens, and that in itself compounds the situation. So I would like to thank John for allowing me to speak. If there's any questions or anything I can do, I'm always available. And I appreciate John. You're doing great work. I'm with you, buddy. And we're both Croft alumni. We're both Mary Grady alumni. We have a lot in common. And I always admire your sobriety. You're way ahead of me, but I'm trying to catch up. Thanks so much.
Thank you again, Butch Patrick, for your wonderful words of recovery and your support with us today. Our closing speaker for this program is a very, very special man to me. He is my sponsor. He has 60 plus years of recovery. His name is George Marciano. I'm just really proud of him. Really want you to hear from him. George is not very young. He's 83 years young, but a beautiful man. Was there when my mother died. Just a wonderful man. And he's going to share a little bit of his story, or however he wants to. And when he's done, we will end with him. He's an elder in the Mormon faith, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, in English or Spanish, whichever he chooses, to close us off. Jorge.
Yes, if you let me speak in Spanish and you translate, will be better, because my English is very limited.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Está bien.
Okay. My name is George. I am an alcoholic. And voy a tratar de ser breve.
I'm going to try to be brief.
Con todos ustedes. Voy a hablar un minuto por cada año de sobriedad.
But I'll do that by 1 minute for each of my recovery years.
Naturalmente. Espero no se aburran de mi charla.
But I've learned that it's better not to bore everybody with an hour worth of your time.
El programa para mí ha sido el mejor negocio que hice en mi vida.
The program, as I see it, has been the best way of life for my life.
Llegué joven a este programa, tenía 25 años,
When I started, I had 25 years,
pero tenía serios problemas con el alcohol y el tabaquismo.
but I had very serious problems with tobacco. And
A este programa tenía 25 años,
when I started, I had 25 years,
pero tenía serios problemas con el alcohol y el tabaquismo.
but I had very serious problems with tobacco and
Pienso que las herramientas más importantes del programa,
for me, the most important
por 60
tools of the
años
program are,
y unos meses más, están en los 12 pasos.
and they find themselves in the 12 years and a few
Y
months
gracias a
of
eso
sobriety
fue
pienso
dejar
que
de
las
herramientas
was to
más
stop drinking.
importantes. Por eso me siento inmensamente
For me,
agradecido
the most
and for
important
this,
I feel very grateful.
de
Tools
Dios,
of the program
God,
are,
y de todos están en los 12 pasos. Amigos de Alcohólicos
and
Anónimos.
they find
And to all
themselves
my
in the
friends
12
in
steps.
Alcoholics Anonymous.
Y yo espero que
Dios,
si alguien
Thanks to
está
those 12
necesitando
steps,
dejar las drogas
gracias
o
a
el
este
alcohol,
programa,
And I hope that
thanks to this
anyone
program,
who would like to
todas las
stop
cosas en mi
drinking
vida han cambiado.
or using drugs,
everything in
No
my
se
life has
olvide que
changed for the
estamos
better.
para servir. Y el
do
mejor
not forget
negocio
that
que
we are
hice
all
en mi
here
vida,
to help
And
you.
the best
y bien,
job I've
esas
ever had in
serían
my
mis
life
palabras, unas pocas, pero de
fue
todo
dejar de
corazón.
beber.
was
And with
to
all
stop
my heart,
drinking.
I share these things.
Por eso me siento
les
inmensamente
agradezco el haberme
agradecido.
escuchado. Que
And
Dios
for
les
this,
bendiga.
I feel very
And
grateful.
God bless you. Thank you for letting me
De
share.
Dios
Y ahora con la
To God,
oración,
y de
Está
todos
bien.
los
Bendito y amoroso
amigos
Padre,
de Alcohólicos Anónimos.
loving and
and to all
blessed
my friends
Father
in
in heaven,
Alcoholics Anonymous.
te damos gracias esta
Yo
tarde
espero que si
we
alguien
thank thee this
está
afternoon
necesitando
por haber
dejar
tenido la
las
oportunidad
drogas o
for
el
having had
alcohol,
the
And I
opportunity
hope that anyone
de
who would
compartir
like to
nuestra
stop
fortaleza,
drinking
to share
or
our
using
strength,
drugs,
nuestras esperanzas,
no se olvide que
our hope,
estamos
y
para servir.
nuestros momentos
do not
difíciles que
forget that
hemos
we are
vivido
all here and those
to help you.
difficult times that we have lived
como
Y bien, esas
consecuencia
serían
de
mis
las
palabras,
drogas,
unas pocas, pero
as
de todo
a
corazón.
consequence
And with
of
all my
alcohol
heart,
and
I share
drugs.
these
Te
things.
damos gracias por todas las
Y
bendiciones que
lo
derramas sobre nosotros. Les agradezco
We're
el
thankful
haberme
for all
escuchado.
of the
Que Dios les
blessings that
bendiga.
thou
And
hast
God
blessed
bless
us
you.
with. Thank you
Te
for
damos
letting me
gracias
share.
también, bendito
And
Padre,
now,
por tu Santo
George
Espíritu.
Marciano,
And thank
elder
you also,
in the
dear Father, for
LDS
your
Church of
gracious
Jesus
and loving
Christ of
spirit.
Te
Latter-day Saints,
suplicamos
will
desde lo
give
más
us the
profundo de nuestros
benediction.
corazones
And
And
we ask thee from
Bendito y
the bottom
amoroso
of our
Padre,
hearts,
que
loving
bendigas a
and
todos
blessed
aquellos que
Father in
claman
heaven,
tu presencia. Te damos
and
gracias
bless
esta
all
tarde
those who
we thank thee
would
this
pray
afternoon
and ask
por
for
haber
your presence.
tenido la
Suplicamos
oportunidad
también por todas
for
las
having had
personas
the
que están
opportunity,
sufriendo de
and we
compartir
ask
nuestra
also a blessing on
fortaleza
all of those
to
who
share
are
our
suffering
por
strength
la adicción en las
nuestras
drogas,
for
esperanzas
drug
our
addictions
por el
y
alcohol y
and for
por
alcoholism
y por las enfermedades
momentos
momentos difíciles que hemos vivido.
and those difficult times.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Please tell your friends. When we finish, you can reach me at johnny@johnnywhitaker.com or also jwhitaker@pasoporpaso.org. And as we will for Val next year, we make sure to get a picture of your mother and we will add her to our list. And anybody else, thank you, Stacey, for your opening prayer, and Padrino for your closing prayer, and all of those who shared, and also Butch for your sharing of your story, Mick, and who else? Pamela, and all of those who joined us this day. I thank you very much. God bless you all. And
Thank you.
I thank you.
You.
Gracias,
Thank you,
Juanito.
Johnny.
gracias a todos.
Thanks, Butch.
Que la
You bet.
pasen
Bye.
muy bien.
Anytime. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good night. Bye.
Johnny, thank you so much for the invite. You'll have no idea how much this blesses me. And I'll do this again next year and invite a whole bunch of people.
Thank you very much.
por 60 años y unos meses más.
And I am proud to say that I have 60 years and a few months of sobriety.
Pienso que las herramientas más importantes del programa
For me, the most important tools of the program are,
están en los 12 pasos.
and they find themselves in the 12 steps.
Y gracias a eso,
Thanks to those 12 steps,
gracias a este programa,
thanks to this program,
todas las cosas en mi vida han cambiado.
everything in my life has changed for the better.
Y el mejor negocio que hice en mi vida
And the best job I've ever had in my life
fue dejar de beber.
was to stop drinking.
Por eso me siento inmensamente agradecido
And for this, I feel very grateful
de Dios
to God
y de todos los amigos de Alcohólicos Anónimos.
and to all my friends in Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yo espero que si alguien está necesitando dejar las drogas o el alcohol,
And I hope that anyone who would like to stop drinking or using drugs,
no se olvide que estamos para servirle.
do not forget that we are all here to help you.
Y bien, esas serían mis palabras, unas pocas, pero de todo corazón.
And with all my heart, I share these things.
Y les agradezco el haberme escuchado. Que Dios les bendiga.
And God bless you. Thank you for letting me share.
And now, George Marciano, elder in the LDS Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, will give us the benediction. Jorge.
Bendito y amoroso Padre,
Loving and blessed Father in heaven,
te damos gracias esta tarde
we thank thee this afternoon
por haber tenido la oportunidad
for having had the opportunity
de compartir nuestra fortaleza,
to share our strength,
nuestras esperanzas
our hopes,
y nuestros momentos difíciles que hemos vivido
and those difficult times that we have lived
como consecuencia del alcoholismo.
as a consequence of alcohol and drugs.
Te damos gracias por todas las bendiciones que derramas sobre nosotros.
We're thankful for all of the blessings that thou hast blessed us with.
Te damos gracias también, bendito Padre, por tu Santo Espíritu.
And thank you also, dear Father, for your gracious and loving spirit.
Te suplicamos desde lo más profundo de nuestros corazones
And we ask thee from the bottom of our hearts
que bendigas a todos aquellos que claman tu presencia
and bless all those who would pray and ask for your presence.
Te suplicamos también por todas las personas que están sufriendo
And we ask also a blessing on all of those who are suffering
por la adicción en las drogas,
for drug addiction
por el alcohol
and for
por todas
alcoholism
y por las enfermedades naturales
and the other natural illnesses
que nos afectan a muchos seres humanos.
that affect many human beings.
Todo esto te lo pedimos en el nombre de tu Hijo amado,
And all of these things we ask and thank thee for in the name of your Son.
Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Thank you very much. Please tell your friends, as we will for Val next year. We make sure to get a picture of your mother, and we will add her to our list. And anybody else, thank you, Stacey, for your opening prayer, and Padrino for your closing prayer, and all of those who shared, and also Butch for your sharing of your story, Mick, and who else? Pamela, and all of those who joined us this day. I thank you very much. God bless you all.
Hi.
Have a good night. Bye.
Johnny, thank you so much for the invite. You'll have no idea how much this blesses me. And I'll do this again next year and invite a whole bunch of people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much for being here today, for participating. And if you're just watching our final version, thank you for watching and sharing with us those lives lost and lives recovered. Next year, 2023, we will be doing it once again. And if you have a friend or a family member that you would like to have remembered, please let them be celebrated by sending your loved one's name and a photo to Overdose Awareness 0831 @gmail.com, or my office, Whitaker @pasoporpaso.org, or my fan mail at johnny@johnnywhitaker.com. We hope that we can see all of you and more of you to celebrate those lives lost and also lives recovered 2023. God bless. Have a beautiful day. And remember, make someone else's day. Be a friend to them.